Hello everyone, X-Walk Hill Bethelite here. And let me give you a scenario and you tell me what you think. Let's say you have two people in a house. Which would you rather be? One person has high expectations. I'm talking every little thing they do is scrutinized. You gotta have an explanation for why'd you go out and see that movie? Why do you listen to that type of music? Why do you hang out around those types of people? I'm talking constant, non-stop nitpicking all the time, every day, for the rest of your life. You have to work. You've got to constantly do more than this other person I'm going to tell you about. This other person is kind of a screw up. They're not considered responsible. This person doesn't have a job. They're the I'm going to live in my grandma's basement forever type of a person. This person has no real expectations. This person can walk around with their underwear on their head and no one will say anything because no one expects that much from this person. This person, if they want to go and see a movie, they go see the movie. If they want to hang out with certain people, they hang out with certain people. Heck, if they want to go to the strip club, they go to the strip club. No one expects much from that person. Well, person B or the person I just described, it don't sound too bad to be that person. Yeah, the other person has a job. Yeah, the other person has high expectations, but that person is constantly ridiculed, constantly nitpicked. He's got to constantly walk on eggshells. He or she has got to constantly walk on eggshells. Isn't it sometimes appealing to be the screw up? The person who underachieved, the person who nobody expects much of, the person in grandma's basement and grandma's going to make gumbo for them anytime they want. And they sit back and kick back and watch TV all day with no job. Isn't sometimes it appealing to be the screw up? I remember thinking about that when there was a news report on YouTube about a group of people who got a whole house. They had a house. But this house is something that was provided for them because a lot of them didn't work and they had children. So the government or the state, I'm not sure which, provided housing for them. And you had all these people in the comment section saying, well, why don't you get a job? Why don't you work and go out and buy a house? Why rely on the city or the state? And I'm sitting here reading these comments and I'm like, do you understand what you're saying? The people in this house have no job. They don't work. They're getting money, but they don't work. Why on earth would somebody work if they're being given money and the state or the city or whoever is giving them a house, a whole house? There are people who have jobs that don't have a house. And they're getting it for free. I don't know if it's Section 8. I don't know what it is. I'm just listening to these people and I'm saying that sometimes people who underachieve, they're happy with it because nobody expects much from them. And they're just because of that, they're just given a lot of stuff. Let's make the connection with Jehovah's Witnesses. I remember getting baptized. I was pretty young. before I got baptized, I don't recall having to worry about giving any talks. I remember I sometimes would leave the hall early to get home because I wanted to get home. I wanted to watch something on TV, or I just didn't feel like talking to a lot of people that day. Nobody really said anything or expected me to stay at the hall. I didn't have to be an attendant. I didn't have to sit in that sound box and work on anything. There were times where I would come to the hall and I wouldn't have a watchtower. I'd be at the hall with no watchtower. And after the public talk, everybody gets their watchtowers out. And I'm like reaching in my bag and I pull out a watchtower from 4 months ago. And I'm looking like, yeah, this watchtower don't look like the watchtower nobody else has. I don't think I'm going to pass as having the right watchtower just by opening it up because it's kind of obvious. Nobody really said anything. After the meeting, I wasn't criticized for not even freaking having a watchtower. That's unbaptized life as a Jehovah's Witness. That's unbaptized life. Matter of fact, after the meeting, most of the people I hung out with and talked to before I was baptized, which I could talk to anybody at the hall, anybody would talk to me. But a lot of people I talked to were the people on the outskirts, the people who were the fun people, the people who would go to movies and go and party and do what they wanted to. Now, fast forward. I get baptized. After I get baptized, I start getting called on to give prayers at random. You're sitting there, you're relaxing, and next thing you know, Brother Ron, will you get up and give the prayer? And you're like, yeah. Now you got to stand up in front of everybody and give prayer. Next thing you know, I have all these talks I got to practice and work out and give. Next thing you know, they're trying to make me clean stuff at the assembly. Hall cleanup, I gotta be there. After the meeting, you need to be fellowshipping with the rest of the cult. You can't just leave, go home, and watch the game. Not without getting criticized. Not without somebody saying something. Don't it sound better to kind of be the JW screw up? The JW screw up that's just chilling in his grandma's basement eating gumbo. Grandma's home cooked gumbo with cornbread. I remember my grandma used to have the best cornbread. And you just sit there and just enjoy your cornbread with no expectations or nothing whatsoever. That's why you don't get baptized as a Jehovah's Witness. You don't get baptized. There are people who are in that cult because they feel trapped, because their family's in it, because they don't want their family to stop talking to them. Some people, maybe they have old parents, sickly parents. They don't want them to stop talking to them when they're nearing the end of life. Don't get baptized. Before you get baptized, are they speaking to you? Yes. After you get baptized, are there way more reasons for them to stop speaking to you? Yes. You could be the person who studies for the rest of their parents' life or whatever is going on that makes you have to stay in that cult. Obviously, it's better if you leave the cult. But if there's some reason that you feel you have to stay, what we call PMO, which I think is physically in mentally out. If you're mentally out of that cult, don't get baptized. Be the screw up. Yeah, you may disappoint a couple people. Yeah, there's people that want you to have a job. But grandma's gumbo is pretty good. It ain't bad in grandma's basement. You sit up there and watch TV. You sit up there and play video games all day in grandma's basement. It ain't bad being the disappointment amongst Jehovah's Witnesses. Being the Bible study that is the Bible study forever. You know, being the person who, man, I just struggle with. I just struggle with talking to worldly women. I keep talking to these worldly women. Well, brother, what are they going to say? You're not baptized. They might talk to you, but they're not going to expect much. This dude is still studying. This dude is spiritually weak. Ain't it great to be spiritually weak when you got worldly women on both arms? Watching whatever movies you want. Go to the club. If somebody catches you coming out the club, he ain't baptized. He's spiritually weak. You don't need to be the most popular person in the hall. You just want to talk to your family. You're not disfellowship because you're not technically a member. And then the Bible study. If you have to have a Bible study, if you got to be that Bible study, that's a Bible study for years and years and years and years and years. You know they'll have them bad boys in like 5-minute increments. Oh, I don't have time. Can we squeeze a quick 10-minute, 5-minute study in? Sure, brother. Let's get on Zoom. Join me in a study, brother. They're just so happy to study with somebody. There's ways that you can work around the horrible, horrible luck of being born in a cult. But one thing you don't want to do is be mentally out. You know it's a cult. You know it's BS. You know Sam Hurd is full of shit. Literally. His pamper is full of shit. There's no reason for you to be putting money in the contribution box. There's no reason for you to be standing outside next to a cart. Why are you working so hard in a cult you know is false? If you have to be around it, you got to be around it. I understand that. I 100% understand it. And I don't judge people who feel like they don't want to lose their family. But I'm going to laugh at you if you're standing next to a cart that you know is full of BS. And there's no reason for you to be standing next to the cart. You could be at home with a case of beers, watching the game, watching Netflix, watching Amazon Prime. I'm watching a show right now called Foundation. It's on Apple TV. The name of the show is Foundation. It's awesome. It's a sci-fi. Oh, and it is awesome. If your show is coming on the same night as a meeting, watch your show. You're not baptized. Show up at the next meeting. They're not going to expect much. You don't want them to have high expectations. You want them to think you're spiritually sick. You've got spiritual pneumonia. Yay! You want to have spiritual pneumonia. You want to have spiritual retardation. No, that's what they have. But you want to be viewed as spiritually sick. That's a good thing. You want to be the congregation disappointment. That way you can live a marvelous life and your family can still talk to you. There's two things you want to do in association with the Jehovah's Witness cult. Number one is get the hell out as fast as you can and cut your losses, because a lot of those people aren't your friend anyway. The second thing, don't get baptized. Don't get baptized. If you done already got baptized, you are living a life walking on eggshells. These people are probably going to shun you eventually anyway. You might as well leave and enjoy your life. But if you have not gotten baptized and you're still young, I don't care that your dad wants you to give a talk. Screw him. I don't care that your mom wants you to pioneer. Screw her. Be the disappointment. Be the spiritually weak one. The spiritually weak one gets to do whatever you want. Don't worry about no Armageddon. Because if there is an Armageddon, Jehovah's Witnesses will be the first people on the list to be destroyed. So you're probably going down with them anyway if you're screwing around with Jehovah's Witnesses. And there's an actual Armageddon and God is angry and he's wiping out false religion and whatnot. Yeah, you're on the list to go first anyway, regardless, if you're a part of that Jehovah's Witness cult. So don't worry about Armageddon. I don't think there's going to be an Armageddon. Not with angelic creature coming out the sky with ancient instruments of war like bow and arrow and whatnot. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, there might be a nuclear war or whatever the case may be, but that's not what Jehovah's Witnesses are talking about. Jehovah's Witnesses cause depression. Jehovah's Witnesses cause Peter Pan syndrome, where people don't want to grow up. You remember the song, I want to be like Peter Pan. I don't want to grow up. Dun, dun. That's Jehovah's Witnesses. There's so many Jehovah's Witnesses that the proof that the cult is false is everywhere. But they don't want to be an adult. Take the responsibility, leave the cult, make changes in their life. No, they just want to keep getting told what to do, when to do it. So you got a lot of people, like I was saying in my last video, that they don't do well growing from young manhood to manhood, being coddled in a cult that tells you if you can have a beard or not, telling you every little inch of how you live your life. You don't do well becoming an adult letting other people do that to you. So you want to be in a position. This is what a lot of people want. A lot of people want this. You want to be in a position where you don't have to be going to meetings all the time. I hear so many people talk about they're going back and whatnot. You don't have to do that. Be the spiritually weak person that gets to talk to their family anytime they want. And yeah, your family will probably at some point give you the whole spiel about going to the hall more and taking it more seriously. Screw them. You get to talk to them. That's what you wanted. As far as people who are disfellowshipped and you know, so forth and so on, I say cut your losses. I say cut your losses. Build relationships and friendships that are actually going to last, and not relationships that are built on toxicity, that are just toxic, that you just got to do all this stuff to please this person, otherwise they're going to judge you and not talk to you and whatnot. But it's good to be the screw up amongst Jehovah's Witnesses. It's fun. I remember before I got baptized at assemblies, I used to get up and wander around. You know, once you get baptized, then you're getting looked at, and you gotta sit straight and be looking at the speaker and whatnot, and not falling asleep. I remember before I got baptized, me and my friends would get up from our seats, walk around, be walking outside. There was assemblies at the Nutter Center in Ohio. There was a trail. We found a trail outside the assembly. We're freaking walking the trail. There are floors we weren't supposed to be on. We were in the elevator pushing buttons, going up to different floors. We would stick our heads out, look around. Nah, we don't want to go here. We push another button, go up another floor, stick our heads out. Yeah, let's go here. And we're walking around. And then the Jehovah's Witnesses would have, people walking around, attendants or whoever walking around just to make sure people weren't there. I remember we had to duck and hide. Like we're playing some kind of Splinter Cell game. We had to duck and hide while the Jehovah's Witness guy walked past us. Then we looked, saw he wasn't coming, and we kept going, wandered around, exploring the building. The Nutter Center had a basketball court. We'd be looking at the basketball court. We were trying to figure out how can we get out of these clothes and get on this basketball court. Do you know how fun that was? The only thing that would happen is you get talked to, but we weren't baptized. We weren't going to have to stop talking to anybody or any of our relatives. That's like the number one thing about Jehovah's Witnesses is the shunning. You don't want to be shunned? Don't get baptized. Getting baptized is the dumbest thing anybody could do. All that means is you're going to have a lot of responsibility. You're going to have people who want you to constantly do more, and you can do more. Heck, you can pioneer, you can do all kinds of stuff. It'll never be enough. They'll never be happy. They're always going to want more. And it don't matter how much you do and for how long, they'll always be ready to just get rid of you. They'll be ready to shun you. It don't matter if you spent 60 years and you worked hard every day of those 60 years. They'll be ready to get rid of you and shun you at a drop of a hat. So why do all that? Just don't get baptized. You have then broken the Jehovah's Witness game. You've broken the matrix. You've broken the system. The Jehovah's Witness system is set up to work a certain way. It's set up to where you succumb to the pressures of getting baptized, of having to give talks, of going to all the meetings and going out and serving all that stuff. Otherwise, we won't talk to you. But to break their entire system, just don't get baptized. Just don't give a damn what a bunch of cult members think. They're all idiots anyway. Don't get baptized. Have fun. Do what you want. And still talk to your family. Just don't tell them, oh, I'm never getting baptized because if I get baptized, then you're not going to talk. Just don't tell them that. There are things that can be a secret. The guy right now living in his grandma's basement, enjoying a nice hot cooked meal of grandma's gumbo with her special cornbread. He's not telling his grandma, yeah, grandma, I'm not going to ever get a job and be responsible because I want you to keep cooking for me for the rest of your life. He's not going to tell her that. He's going to tell her, oh, I just have so many problems. Every time I look at a job application, I start convulsing, whatever. You tell Jehovah's Witnesses, oh, I'm still struggling with this scripture. Oh, I'm still struggling with that. I don't want to get baptized until I can get this conquered. I don't want to get baptized until I can accomplish this, and this. You just don't never have to accomplish those things. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. But don't get baptized and you have defeated the whole Jehovah's Witness system. They don't have no answer for that, to my knowledge. And if you do get baptized, just don't be afraid to be the disappointing one. There are people I know who had a ball as a Jehovah's Witness. They got this fellowship, and they got this fellowship about 4 or 5 times, and they got reinstated every single time and kept being able to talk to people every single time. So if you messed around and got baptized, it's not going to work. The glitch that I just gave you guys, the glitch in the game that I just gave you guys for Jehovah's Witnesses, that won't work if you get baptized. but you can still do a version of that glitch. It just won't work as well if you are baptized. You just got to make sure you're the spiritually weak person. It won't work as well. You're the spiritually weak person, and if you get disfellowshipped and you get reproved and you're getting all this stuff, you just let them keep doing that. You know what I mean? You might not get to talk to people for a little while, but then they'll just reinstate you, and then you get to do it all over again. You get to be the person to get disfellowshipped about 20 to 30 times. You know. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. X Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.